Watching the round 17 game where Fremantle hosted Carlton at Optus Stadium, something caught my eye. It wasn't how poor Fremantle were or the improvement of Carlton, but the battle of the rucks. Mark Pitnett, Carlton's number one ruckman, missed the match through a knee injury, and Tom De Koning also wasn't selected. It was Lewis Young, normally a key defender, who would lead the ruck duties. For Fremantle, Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson as a ruck forward duo is as good as it gets in the AFL. Combined, they had 69 hitouts, and with a hitout to Josh Tracy, it gave Fremantle a 70 to 18 hitout advantage. With the rucks being able to place the ball down the throats of their on-ballers, you would think Freo would have a big midfield ascendancy, but Fremantle ended up losing clearance by 6 and had 54 less disposals. This game begs the question, how important are ruckmen in the current day AFL? One way we can try to judge this is to look back at recent grand final winners and their starting ruckmen. It's a good indication of the level of ruck needed in a side to win it all. To get enough data, but not go too far back, the year 2000 seems an accurate starting point. Out of the last 23 grand final winners, just 3 of the ruckmen have made an All-Australian team. The first was Brad Ottens, who was the starting premiership ruck in 2007 and 2011, but his sole All-Australian appearance was all the way back in 2001. The next 2 are probably a pair of the best rucks in history. Dean Cox, a 6-time All-Australian, and 2021 Premiership captain Max Gawn, who is also a 6-time All-Australian. The rest are made up of the likes of Clark Keating, who did perform well in big finals, Darren Jolly, Toby Nankervis, and David Hale. But besides Gawn and Cox, the rest aren't generational or all-time greats. After the 2016 AFL Grand Final, the AFL also got rid of the third man up to increase the impact of rucks, and it does seem to have worked to a degree. But again, Scott Lysett, Toby Nankervis, and Reece Stanley are premiership rucks in this period of time. These guys are solid to good ruckmen, but they aren't the highest echelon of All-Australian and Best and Fairest winners. Specifically looking at hitouts themselves, ruckmen can't be blamed for the misleading stat of hitouts to advantage. Reverting back to the Fremantle and Carlton game, Sean Darcy racked up a monster 20 hitouts to advantage. Again, you would think that these are 20 direct hits to a teammate that wins a clean clearance. But that's not the definition. A hitout to advantage, according to Champion data, is a hitout that reaches an intended teammate. This means Darcy can palm it down to Sarong in his hands, but if he gets the ball slapped away and Carlton win the ball, it's still a hitout to advantage, even though the tap may have put Sarong under opposition pressure. From this game alone, we can see a hitout to advantage and then a real hitout to advantage. So if you come away reading Darcy had 20 hitouts to advantage, but didn't seem impactful, it's because the stat itself is pretty misleading. The reality is, it's actually incredibly difficult for a ruckman to get a real hitout to advantage. The centre clearance is probably the best chance to create this. Unless you can get perfectly clear hitouts, the hitout itself isn't crucial in the midfield battle. But all this doesn't mean you should be running a team with a bad or no ruckman. Most of the premiership rucks were still in the top half of players in their position during the time they won the flag. It's defensively the ruckmen who are big, strong and fit that can impact positively. We saw this last year specifically with Reece Stanley. Mark Blicavs would come in and take the actual ruck in general play. This would allow Stanley to sit behind the ball as an anchor. It's genius, and premiership rucks in Nankervis, Hale and Ottens could all perform this role very well. Filling up holes when the opposition tries to move the ball is another layer hard to move past. If they can apply physical pressure and intimidation like Mumford and again Nankervis, it's the little acts these big men can do that can lift their teams. And if you do have a generational ruck in Max Gawn, Dean Cox or Nick Naitanui, well, these guys are so rare and good they can genuinely win you games. But is it worth spending millions on the ruck department? Grundy and Gawn hasn't worked this year, and Darcy and Jackson hasn't really got going. It's an interesting thought that no doubt teams are having. History shows us that having an all-time great ruckman isn't the most valuable asset for a team looking to win it all. It's about getting a strong physical ruck who can motor all day and help the team defensively while being a presence in the midfield. The clean hitouts and goal kicking can be a bonus. We see the ruck merry-go-round every year, and it will happen again this off-season, but with big guns in Tim English and Sean Darcy coming out of contract soon, the clubs will really tell us how important they think ruckmen are in the AFL.